We continue our knowledge sharing mission through a series of interviews with marketing leaders from all over the world. And today we're thrilled to have Samir with us. Samir, can you give yourself a quick introduction and maybe introduce your role?
Thank you very much, Neil, first of all, for inviting me. I'm Samir Thakkar. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Emerging EMEA and Asia Pacific for SAS Institute. I'm based in Singapore, and I oversee a very diverse and a geographical spread out team, which has dozens of countries, the languages and cultural nuances. SAS has been one of the leaders in data and AI for the last 5 decades, by the way. We will be completing 50 years next year. The entire idea is about making data more accessible, more useful to organizations and companies around the world, and ensure that they're making decisions faster, leveraging their data with the right level and kind of AI. That's what I've been doing over here. I've been with SAS for more than over 3 years now. And I genuinely believe in the power of data and AI for organizations, for governments, and for companies around the world. And SAS has been playing a very instrumental role with our customers, our partners, and stakeholders in making that accessible and available.
Now, in terms of your role as a marketing leader, what's your main focus at the moment?
For B2B enterprises in general, Neil, let me start with that and then come to SAS specifically. B2B marketing in general, the enterprise space that we are in, primarily focuses around 3 areas. How do you ensure that you're building the brand? How are you encouraging and building demand generation or ensuring the growth of the business? And then the last point is focusing on engaging existing customers as well. So if I take the same construct with regards to how we are utilizing it from a SaaS point of view, while we have on one side the KPIs and goals that majority of the organizations typically look at with regards to lead generation, pipeline development, how is your brand being perceived by customers as well? What is the longer term business impact that we are generating too? We fundamentally look at it across 3 major areas. The first one is brand, like I mentioned. The aim over here is to strengthen SAS's reputation as a global leader in data and AI, ensuring that every single interaction that we have with our customer reinforces trust and credibility, but not just for the customers, but the partners and the stakeholders and the users that are using SAS every day for making better decisions as well. The second one is on the demand side. We basically look at very innovative and targeted campaigns and programs to generate measurable business opportunities for our business and accelerate the adoption of SaaS products and solutions across the region. And the last one, of course, is the engagement part of it, where then the focus remains on deep and ongoing connections with our existing customers and potential customers as well. We ensure that our programs deliver lasting value and nurturing longer-term relationships. The investments that typically our customers end up making with us are large, longer-term investments. So it is not just about ensuring that the customer is trusting us with the investment at the beginning, but also ensuring that they see value coming out of SaaS products and solutions over a longer period of time, and they are successful eventually using our services and solutions. The entire idea of now AI transforming a lot of these focus areas, like all of us are aware of, we have been talking about AI now for the last few years now, is also one of the key focus areas, because today AI is influencing all these 3 areas that I just mentioned. How is AI going to change the way brands are being perceived? Starting with, let's say, how are we discovering new brands? Are we using search the way we used to do it? Or are we now using generative AI search engines fundamentally to make that discovery even faster, more effective, more efficient? How is AI impacting our demand generation as well? Is it going to be the same buying cycles that we have been seeing so far over the last decade or so? Or is it going to be completely different? And the engagement part of it is more focused on the ROI side, on the productivity side, on the efficiency side as well. AI tools and services today, and the entire idea basically of leveraging AI in the right way to focus on productivity is taking a more important or playing a more critical role in terms of our engagement programs and campaigns as well. So across these 3 areas, we see AI now playing a very dominant, very important, and a very growing role with regards to these focus areas evolving and going to the next phase and stage as well.
Fantastic. And I'm sure we'll sort of dive deeper into more AI factors as well, especially in the leadership part of marketing as well. But when you define success in marketing, sort of what are the key metrics that you're using? And maybe potentially, like, have they changed over the last 5 years as well? Could you share some light on that?
Absolutely. So let me start with the matrix and look at it with regards to the focus areas that we have implemented within the marketing organization, specifically at a regional level as well, right? Let me start with the KPIs or the matrix. The matrix over here, and again, I'm going back to the previous 3 focus areas that I outlined, is around the brand area. We are looking at brand recall. We are looking at brand awareness. We are looking at brand equity. We're looking at our innovation leadership that we see, especially around customers or the segments that we care about, that we target on a regular basis as well. Right? This is again a longer term viewpoint rather than short term impact. The entire idea of trust and credibility takes more time. So SAS continues again its focus of creating and generating messages, creating engagement areas and campaigns that are very focused on taking SAS as a brand and Wire as one of our most trusted platform for data and AI leadership to our customers in the right way. And these metrics or KPIs are measured and looked upon not on a quarterly basis, not on an annual basis. While we continue to review them on a regular periodical basis, the idea is impact and evolution over a longer frame of time. From a demand generation point of view, we look at lead generation, of course. We're looking at pipeline creation. We look at conversion into revenue. And we look at the level of stickiness that we see with the customers as well. Other customers coming back to us with regards to renewals, with regards to upsell and cross-sell motions as well. And we are not just looking, when I say customers, we're not just looking at customers, we're looking at partners. Like I mentioned, we're looking at end users, developers as well, because that is the entire ecosystem that we continue to engage. From an engagement point of view, we definitely look at customer satisfaction scores, which are measured on a regular basis in order to ensure that the customers remain and are sharing that regular feedback with us, not only in terms of utilizing what they have currently, but also sharing feedback of how we can continue to grow and improve in terms of their journey of leveraging data and AI in the right way. But then bringing these KPIs within framework of how we are looking at it from an emerging EMEA and Asia Pacific perspective, I broadly look at it across 3 areas, Neil. The first one is, I think, the most critical one in my mind, which is the people aspect or the people pivot of it. Its success fundamentally from a marketing point of view, or for any team, as a matter of fact, starts with the people. It's about ensuring that we have the best-in-class marketeers. It means developing the talent and providing them with clear growth roadmaps and empowering or enabling these marketers with the right skills and the tools that are there at their disposal. We already spoke about AI. How do we ensure that now both existing and new marketeers are also empowered with the right training and skill sets to leverage AI in the right way is also super critical. The second part of this framework or the pivot is around programs. Programs fundamentally is looking at campaigns that are creating or delivering programs and campaigns that are driving measurable business outcomes, whether they are generating demand, strengthening the brand aspect of it, or deepening our customer engagement. It is extremely critical that we are looking at it with the right set of data and insights from a decision-making point of view, from an execution point of view. And the last one, which I think brings all these areas together, is the process part of it. It is embedded basically in everything that we do and how we do things. The entire idea of a well-defined process, which is supported by data to ensure that the programs are executed efficiently, the insights are captured in the right way, the outcomes are measured, tracked, and reported in the right way, is extremely critical. And therefore, the entire focus on process remains a very important structure or a pivot for us while we look at KPIs and defining success. So I think these are broadly the 3 focus areas or the 3 ways in which we basically look at KPIs and success as well.
And yeah, I think one of the points you touched upon, obviously, that skills section. I think, there's something I want to ask you coming up on that, about obviously how that's changed. So I'm going to put a little pin in that one. But in terms of challenges, so I think obviously a lot of what you spoke about just then was, there's a lot of data that's coming into marketers' life, and luckily how the journeys and decisions are becoming shorter because of the access to these tools we've got. But what are the big challenges that you're facing these days as a marketer?
The way we would define basically or look at challenges would be, again, areas that are impacting us on an everyday basis from a short-term, mid-term point of view, and the challenges that we foresee from a longer-term time horizon as well, right? So I'll probably try to cover both these areas fundamentally to help highlight not just the challenges that I'm facing within the role that I'm doing, but also marketeers in general, specifically the SaaS team as well from a marketing point of view. Let's start with it with the evolving customer buying cycle. Everything that we do today is fundamentally customer driven, customer led, customer centric. Over the last few years' time, we are seeing a very, very clear evolution of change in the B2B buying cycle. Right? At one point of time, we would basically have a few decision makers from a CXO point of view to influencers and decision makers, which is now very consciously moving to large buying groups, right? Fundamentally, when we're talking about B2B enterprise selling, while we say it is buyer to buyer or enterprise to enterprise, it is still human beings and people who are making these decisions, right? These decisions are happening over a longer period of time. Typically, the sales cycle that we see range anything from 3 to 4 months all the way to a couple of years when we're talking about large long-term investments and contracts with large operations, companies, and governments around the world. So I think number one, moving very consciously from, let's say, a marketing qualified lead or a sales accepted lead kind of a format to a pipeline format, to now ensuring that we are mapping the right customers with the right buyer contact groups is becoming extremely important. That is a new challenge that we are facing, and I'm not looking at it from a challenge of a problem. It is about how marketing organizations are adapting to the changing situation or the ecosystem which is happening in the market. The second one is like we already touched upon, right? The evolution of the role of data and AI in terms of ensuring how are we identifying the right customer priorities. Customers now are increasingly looking at data and AI to drive optimization, productivity, and leaner organizations. We're already seeing a lot of decisions which have been made over the last 2 to 3 years' time, which are driven by these data insights and because of the impact that we are seeing coming in from an AI point of view. This means that we are now creating campaigns, messaging, and initiatives that not just support our customers' growth, but also help them become more efficient, help them better produce their ROIs that they're looking at, and also ensure a high degree of operational agility. Marketing success requires acknowledging and ensuring that you're ready to leverage the data and AI trends in the right way. And that is the second challenge that I'm encouraging my team basically to look at it very consciously. The last point or the key challenge that we are currently looking at as a marketing organization within my leadership team and the entire marketing team is how do we cut through the noise that we are seeing in the market. We have seen historically over the last few years now that content creation, messaging is increasing, not just because we are able to make more messages, but it is also about how we are disseminating these messages across channels. The number of channel options, especially on the digital side, have been increasing as well. So that invariably creates a lot of noise, and our ability to get the right level of customer attention for the right type or segment of customers is incredibly important. This now requires pushing boundaries with regards to creativity, innovation, and ensuring that you understand the customer's insights at a very granular level so that the messaging resonates. We are leveraging the right channels as well, and then we see the right level of impact on the KPIs and goals that we're looking after.
You mentioned that the buying cycle's got a bit longer, but then, like, obviously everyone's got so much more information to review some products and things before they come into that buying cycle, right? People are so much more equipped with that information. But yeah, like, is it a case where we've got too much content out there, and so there's like a paralysis within that knowledge, And so maybe that human to human interaction has become very important to cut through that noise. And maybe just to go back to your point on the tools, sort of around that data and AI for customers, are there any specific tools that you're using to identify people who are in that buying process, and so you can engage them at the right time?
Like you mentioned, Neil, I think it is increasingly important that you're having those direct, more targeted connections with our customers. When you're looking at an ABX kind of a journey, I'm not just talking about account-based marketing anymore. We are talking about account-based experiences or buyer group-based experiences as well. How are we identifying the right kind of or the right segment of people who play an important role, either in terms of utilizing or using our products and services on a regular basis, or in terms of the decision making journey as well? We are starting right from people who are signing contracts, who are identifying who are the customers, who are the stakeholders whom we need to work with, and eventually going all the way up to users who are using our software and products on a regular basis, right? So specifically from a tools perspective, I think it is the entire idea of we disrupting ourselves before somebody else disrupts us. And by somebody else, I mean fundamentally a technology that is disrupting us, right? So the step number one is a mindset shift that we are looking at fundamentally within the marketing organization, that we have to look at everything which is happening around us with a completely new lens, because the lens that we have been using so far over the last decade or so is shifting and changing very, very rapidly. The second area is making those tools accessible to our teams as well. We're not just talking about tools which everybody's talking about, right? Which is Google Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot. Again, these are critical tools, with the entire idea basically of saying which are the tools that fit in within the tech stack that we are currently operating in, number one. Number two, they are also, from a longer term perspective, trustworthy for us to exchange and look at information, right? In terms of taking it to our customers and partners as well. And lastly, the entire idea of leveraging that within the framework of our customers, the three areas that I mentioned, right? We're talking about people. How are they empowering people? How are they helping us improve and make better programs, and helping us optimize and make more efficient processes? So it is not a one size fits all approach. It is a constant evolution of understanding where, as the technology evolves, where is the world going towards? How is marketing evolving with that? And making decisions at the right time, and probably staying one or two steps ahead of the curve so that the team is ready to absorb and take care of these challenges as they come to us.
Someone mentioned to me the other day that they also felt that B2B marketing, was bringing in a lot more B2C ideals as well because of that speed of market. Are you seeing that as well?
Definitely, yes. I recently participated in one of the CMO roundtables, which was hosted by none other than Sir Martin Sorrell. He was in Singapore some time back, and he shared basically a few examples which really resonated with the group as well, of how today we are looking at convergence or overlap of B2B and B2C models in terms of customer engagement, in terms of messaging, in terms of channel utilization, in terms of GTM processes or models as well. Like I mentioned earlier, while we can differentiate or continue to look at B2B and B2C separately, eventually we are talking to a CEO or a CTO or a CMO or a CCO who is a human being and a person in terms of decision making. And I'm just using the C-suite over here as an example. Like I mentioned, we are looking at an entire buyer group journey, but eventually we're looking at human beings making these decisions in the right way, and how they are using the tools which are available, especially digital tools, to frame that decision making, to ensure that they have all the right information that they need for making that decision efficiently. We are also seeing now another area where a lot of discovery work in terms of insight, in terms of research, has already been done before the corporation or the company basically even thinks about engaging or looking at organizations for new products and solutions, right? So I think it is extremely critical that, number one, we start removing these barriers between B2B and B2C, because there is a significant overlap, number one. Number two, the entire idea of content or media consumption also basically is now becoming more and more overlapping, if I may say so, with regards to websites or generative AI engines. The entire idea discovery around social media also is converging very, very quickly as we speak. So it is definitely happening, and it is happening at a much faster speed than we would have assumed it would happen a couple of years ago.
Now, just to put a bit of focus on some of the stuff that you've been doing, maybe you could share uh, a bit of information and some thoughts on a really successful piece of engagement or event that you've hosted, and why was that successful?
Let me share a couple of examples which also enabled us to interact with our customers in an in-person or a physical format, right? We continue to do a lot of digital campaigns. Digital still remains one of the core anchor points in terms of engaging with our customers. But if we bring our attention to just the physical or in-person events, especially because over the last 3 to 4 months' time in H2 primarily, we typically increase the number of direct engagement that we have with our customers as well. The first example would be SAS Innovate. Just for context, SAS Innovate is our global flagship event that we do in the US typically in H1 around April or May every year, with thousands of people from the B2B enterprise side, especially people who are looking at new developments which are happening on the data and AI side, converge together. This year, we did it in Orlando. Next year, in 2026, we are planning to do it in Texas. The entire idea of SAS Innovate is to highlight the technology evolution that we are basically focused on, bringing multiple industry leaders together. SAS Innovate then is taken across all the regions, across all the countries and geos that we are present in, using a format which is called SAS Innovate on Tour. So this year, we've already done 4 SAS Innovate on Tour events across emerging EMEA and Asia Pacific already, with one more to go, which is happening in Saudi Arabia just in a couple of weeks' time. We interacted with thousands of people across SAS Innovate on Tour events as well. And the entire objective was to engage with them, to meet them, to understand, just as we outline the challenges that we are going through, how do we ensure we understand the challenges of our customers and partners as well on a regular basis. And it was really surprising, positively surprising, if I may say so, when we have customers who come in just to listen to SaaS products and solutions and spend 6 to 8 hours of their valuable time with us. We had one of the events in Australia where it was raining for pretty much an entire week in Sydney, and we still had more than 300, 350 customers who came in for the event and were very, very happy in terms of sharing constructive insights, inputs, and listening to what SAS has to offer with regards to supporting them on their data and AI journey as well. The second example would be GITEX. I'm sure everybody knows about GITEX, one of the largest IT gathering, software and IT gathering that happens around the world, especially, I think, attracting people from the entire European and the Middle Eastern region as well. We are participating in GITEX this year as well. It is happening in October, so again, a few weeks from now. It is one of the largest investments that we make, especially on the in-person or physical events side. Every year, we have been doing GITEX for 3 years in a row now, where we have an opportunity of engaging with hundreds of thousands of customers over a period of 3 to 4 days' time, who are really keen on looking and reevaluating the ecosystem, the tech stacks which are available outside, the new products and solutions which basically are coming up as well. So GITEX gives us absolutely the right platform and event to showcase the leading products and solutions that SAS has to offer across some of the biggest names within the tech side, which I think is extremely important. The last example, which I wanted to highlight over here, is a global study. It is a data and AI pulse study that we are partnering with IDC, one of the most reputed and renowned analyst firms around the world as well, where we basically are looking at listening from our customers and creating a source of information and knowledge for our customers to understand where is data and AI going to go with regards to B2B enterprise decision making over the next few years' time. This report is also being launched in the next few weeks' time from a SaaS point of view globally, by the way. We're very keen on ensuring that it gets activated at a regional and a local level as well.
Are there any secret weapons that you have to make these events keep on being successful? Anything that you're bringing to these events that maybe is a little outside of the box? Yeah, because obviously you're running some great stuff and attracting some great companies. Surely the free lunch isn't the sell, right?
I think the secret ingredient or the secret recipe over here is also the most boring recipe or ingredient, which is consistency, which is ensuring that we are focused on our customer. The customer centricity part is something that I cannot stress enough on. Customers will only continue, and partners and stakeholders will only continue to engage and invest time with us if they see value, right? So it is basically about bringing mutually beneficial or win-win solutions and products for our customers, which we have been doing very successfully for the last 49 years, like I mentioned, and hopefully for the next 49 or 50 years as well, as we speak here. But to just double click on that one a little more, Neil, I think the entire idea of we engaging with smaller set of audiences, right, which are very specifically discussing topics which are relevant to our customers, is something that we want to do regularly, that we basically want to do consistently. And I think the role that companies like Ortus play within this entire ecosystem development becomes more critical than ever, which is bringing the right audiences on the same table who have the same mindset, who are looking at the same set of challenges, who basically are trying to address and look at issues which are going to impact these organizations in the future, and collectively finding solutions, I think is a very important area that we continue to invest to ensure success of these events.
I think consistency is a perfect way to sum it up. I think, if you can deliver what you say, the event is about and create that value, then people come back and until you sort of break that trust. I think it's a great partnership. And I think that's one of the sort of key things that we as an organization focus on. So I love that you brought up that word as well. Another word that everyone talks about is innovation. What are you doing to prioritize innovation in your team?
Innovation becomes a way of life fundamentally, in terms of not just a program that we initiate as a one-off thing, but the entire idea of basically having an innovative mindset that each one of the marketing team members brings on the table every single day, that they continue basically to support the organization and ensure success. And this is not just in terms of ensuring the success of the company, but ensuring the success of a marketing professional as well. So the first point, it is more, like I mentioned, it is more systematic. It has to be scalable. It has to be people-centric. I gave you an example, basically, right, that we are trying to bring in innovation at all levels, from a people, from a program, from a process point of view. We launched something called as an EPIC Innovation Hub. EPIC stands for, all organizations are good at making acronyms, even we are. So EPIC fundamentally stands for Emerging EMEA and Asia Pacific Programs and Innovation Center. EPIC fundamentally is to encourage and help our teams invest the right bandwidth, time, and resources in terms of pushing those boundaries and thinking outside of the box, keeping our customers right in the center of ensuring how can we basically get better at the work that we are doing as well. We also, again, try to bring in innovation to every aspect of marketing. From the event that I just mentioned, SAS Innovate on Tour, we have at least a few examples, basically, where we brought the brand to life in a very innovative manner so that customers basically are engaging with it on an experiential basis rather than just listening to presentations or slides or speakers on the stage. We want our customers to engage and experience SAS in a very real, very human format. The last one, of course, is empowering the team. Like I mentioned, the entire idea of accelerated environments, making the right technology, making the right tools available to them so that they, number one, are getting upskilled, they are getting trained themselves, basically, to embrace innovation as it goes along. And second, they create that mindset which is required across the organization. Every single member plays an instrumental role on ensuring that mindset shift happens. And I think that is a very important area. Let me give you an example, a real example of how we brought in innovation using the structure that I just mentioned into a program that is currently live, that we are currently working on. We have one of the programs or the campaigns currently where we are creating a series of customer success stories or videos of SaaS products and solutions that are creating impact in the real world. So it is not just, let's say, a bank or an insurance company or a government benefiting from it, but when the bank benefits on it, the thousands of the millions of customers that the bank has also eventually benefit from SaaS products and solutions. Similarly, when a government uses data and AI solutions and products in the right way, eventually the people, the citizens of that country, the residents of the country benefit from it as well. So you're basically bringing in innovation in this factor by not just meeting those customers whom we are interacting with on a regular basis, but our customers as well, to understand how we are basically helping save hard-earned savings of a lot of people by reducing fraud, which is happening in the banking ecosystem. We are basically making welfare schemes more accessible to millions of people who need it on a regular basis through governments who are using our products and solutions. We are now ensuring that the claims which people are making for their insurance with their insurance companies are processed faster so that they get the money when they need it the most, using the solutions and products and solutions that SaaS has to offer. So it is not just looking at one lens, but the innovation over here is to look at multiple lenses and evaluate and identify the value that is generating all the way to the end users.
I want to go from there and pivot a little bit more onto the career advice aspect. So I'd like to start with maybe what advice you would give to someone starting in the marketing industry today.
I think that's a very, very important question and probably takes a philosophical bent of mind as well, if you ask me, right? Let's say I would have evaluated marketing when I started my career a couple of decades ago is completely different from how people would look at basically or young talent that is looking at entering within the marketing segment as well. Number one, I think it is more important than ever, more vibrant than ever, more innovative than ever. So if there is any right time for entering and thinking about marketing as a career, it is right now, and it is going to remain like this for the foreseeable future. But for the sake of consistency, again, let me answer or respond to that using the framework that I mentioned earlier as well, right? That's just people, programs, and processes. The first one, if anybody is evaluating and looking at entering into the marketing segment as a career choice, is fundamentally to ensure that it is very, very critical to connect with your customers, with your stakeholders, with the internal teams, with the teams that you work with on a regular basis. Whether it is digital, preferably physical, it is important that you interact, you understand, you meet your customers on a regular basis to know what are their pain points, what are the areas, their focus areas, what are their priorities and strategies where you as an organization can play an important part. I think that level of empathy, if I may say so, is not negotiable, is extremely critical in terms of the skill that you bring in. The second one is basically, again, looking at it from a program's point of view. Our historical approach to campaigns and programs used to be creating a program that would basically go on the digital side, on the traditional media side, and then you would continue to track using the KPI or the metric framework that you have. Today, this entire stack basically, or the way you would plan these campaigns has changed. And like I mentioned earlier, the entire idea of you understanding in a very targeted way of what your customers are looking at, when are they looking at it, and how do you communicate with them effectively on a real-time basis according to their changing preferences becomes extremely important. That puts a lot of pressure on developing these programs and campaigns in the right way, using the right level of data insights, using the right level of technology as well. So I think staying abreast or staying on top of these trends and understanding how they can equip and get ready from a campaign planning or a program planning perspective is important. Last one, of course, is processes. It is more important than ever that you do not believe at any given point of time that the skills you have today are going to take you for the next 1 decade or 2 decades. You have to invest on upskilling and reskilling yourself on a consistent basis. So it is not just finishing your education or your experience and then entering into the workforce basically or the marketing field. Marketing also fundamentally means that you continue to upskill and cross-sell to ensure you stay relevant. So I think those are the top three areas that I believe are extremely important for everybody, the young talent, to focus on.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all those. And I think, like you said, the marketing function is moving up in the world. I think, I think the role of the CMO is so much more a part of those key C-level executives, and going deeper into all the functions, which is fantastic to see, and I think great to be a part of moving forward. In terms of traditional leadership advice, what's something that you maybe got told when you were starting out that you don't think applies to the modern marketing leader?
And feel very old then I'm the entire let me define traditional here just to begin with, so that we are on the same page, right? The entire idea basically of traditional is, are we looking at it for the last 50 years? Are we looking at it for the last 2 decades or the last 5 years? These terms basically also can get very subjective with regards to how we are looking at it. But the things or the areas or the advice that has stood the test of time, right? Whether you look at it over the last 5 decades or the last 5 years, is the leadership, the core leadership value. The entire idea basically of being authentic, ensuring that you're empowering the teams to make the right decisions with the right skill sets, the bandwidth, the resources that are required, and helping make them decisions in the right way. The last one is giving them the freedom to fail. I think it's extremely important that if you are searching and nudging the team, encouraging team for innovation, it is not going to be success always. We will continue basically to learn from the failures as well. And as long as you're doing that in the right way, I think it is extremely important that you give them the freedom to fail. It is less now about enforcing a structure or a model around it, but more so in terms of enabling them with that agility, supporting your people basically with the right resources, including, of course, the skill sets that we just mentioned as well, and also ensuring that you are continuously asking the question that instead of saying, what is the traditional advice that you would bring in today? It is, how do I ensure that the teams are getting ready for the future? Keeping a lens very clearly on the future and ensuring that we're making that accessible and available for your teams as well is something which I think is extremely important.
Coming back to innovation and the importance that holds in leadership as well is great. In terms of opportunity, what's the biggest opportunity for marketing leaders that wasn't available in the past?
I think that's an interesting question. Fundamentally, because of the shift and the changes that we're seeing, which are happening more rapidly than ever, right? The first one is that the past is no longer defining what is future, what the future is going to be, or what is possible going forward. Right? We used to basically look at historical or anecdotal data to make decisions for the future. That no longer holds true at multiple levels fundamentally. So it's important that we basically look at it and evaluate with a more future-looking objective, rather than delving into the past and saying, this is how we have always made decisions. The second one is the abundance of data, which is combined now with AI and human creativity, which opens up multiple avenues and frontiers, which were not available fundamentally in the past, right? For marketeers to be successful, or for organizations in general to be successful. And the last one, I think, is the scale and the scope of ecosystem that we are working at, both on the digital side and the offline side. And we just spoke about it earlier as well, that the options that we have with regards to channels, with regards to the formats in which we engage with stakeholders and audiences is just unbelievably open, more creative, more imaginative, and more innovative. So I think marketing leaders, finally, to sum it up, have an entire customer, can interact with customers on a real-time basis across the customer journey. And I think it becomes really important that you are able to think fast enough to turn that opportunity, which it has presented, into an advantage for your team, for yourself, and for your organization.
Just to extend on that, what's the future of marketing look like?
I think, but it's a very important question, something that I continue to spend a lot of time, especially listening and understanding from expert advice and input as well, people basically who are at the front in terms of co-creating this future as well. Number one, it is agility. The level, the speed at which we are making decisions is now no longer months, days. We're basically making real-time decisions as we go, especially when it is powered by AI. It is fueled by the data insights that I spoke about. The second one is balancing the entire idea of leveraging technology at the same time keeping human creativity, human innovation. The imagination that we bring in basically as human beings is extremely important. When you combine these two areas, you are just an unstoppable force, and it will continue to improve going forward. Our ability to leverage AI, keeping our imagination, our creativity, is going to basically open up a lot more opportunities that we have thought which are ever possible. The last one is it is not just about looking at future in a digital perspective. It is more intelligent. It is more instant. It is impossible to ignore fundamentally if you are basically looking at it using only a technology point of view. I think it is a combination of both digital and in person, digital and human, like I mentioned earlier. So I think as long as we are able to basically combine these three areas together, while again, lastly, ensuring that you are still customer centric, ensuring that you're still people centric with human in the loop, I think that becomes a very important consideration for the next 5 to 10 years.
How would you describe the role of a VP of marketing in one word?
I think that one word would be a force multiplier. A CMO or a marketing director or every marketer fundamentally can be a force multiplier for their businesses, for their teams, for themselves, if they are leveraging basically and looking at these areas that we just spoke about in the right way. So force multiplier would be that word.
Is there anything else you would like to add in terms of giving your insights?
I think, like I mentioned, the entire combination, the insights fundamentally over here would be you ensuring that you are staying ahead with regards to the evolution that is happening ahead of you or around you. And not with a lens of fear, not with a lens of apprehension, not with a lens of nervousness, but with the entire idea of curiosity, with the entire idea of embracing what is yet to come. If you have seen historically the kind of technology evolution that we have seen, it is not just about just the innovation. It is more so about the innovators. The innovators are going to take that next leap in terms of driving innovation that is eventually going to help us succeed. So innovators are more important in my mind than the innovation that is happening around us because they drive them. So I think it is now imperative for each one of us, including the marketeers, the marketing community, to continue to basically embrace innovation, embrace creativity, and ensuring that you're leveraging or using technology in the right way to create that next wave of innovation.
I think that's a fantastic place to finish. So Samir, thank you very much for joining us today on CMO Chats.
Thank you for watching the CMO Chats by the Ortus Club. You can catch my full interview on Spotify.